Now, live from Whitney Media, 1460 WVOX, the Greenburgh Report, with Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner. You can join in the conversation at 914-636-0110. Now on 1460 WVOX, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
And I'm Pauline Mosley, your co-host today.
And today we have a very interesting program. If you're a mother or a father and you have preschool age children or school age children, this program is definitely for you, because there are a lot of issues and a lot of concerns, and so we're going to give you some good tips. And my guest is Deborah Mosley, and she is involved in a group of moms. And Deborah, could you maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and about the organization?
Of course. Thank you so much, Paul and Pauline, for inviting me to the show today. I'll give you a little background. I'm so happy to be able to share the information with the audience and the community about this life-changing and encouraging program for mothers of all ages, seasons of life, wherever they are, wherever their story is. This is for them. I'm Deborah Mosley, like I said, and I'm the administrator overseeing MOPS, and the acronym is MOMS for Preschoolers, and Moms Next programs, which is for children, mothers who have children in school. I'm a mentor, and I'm the liaison for MOPS International, and with the pastor who is Pastor William Mosley of Youth Mission of Life on 375 Dobbs Ferry Road. And along with me is Trish Marzak, and she is in the international. MOPS is known throughout the world. And Trish, I think you could come in now and introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Deb. Thanks for having me today. So like Deb said, I am a volunteer with MOPS International. And just as an overview, right now MOPS has over 3,600 groups between the U.S. and globally. We're meeting, groups are meeting in 72 countries right now, and material is being translated into 17 languages. I am what's called a MOPS cohort leader, and that is a volunteer position at MOPS, and we have over 225 volunteers right now with about 50 in training. So MOPS organization is really passionate about equipping moms for raising the next generation. We feel very strongly of that. We do that through training. We do that through community groups, which Deb is a part of now. And so we are just very passionate about what we do. So I'll turn it back over to you, Deb.
Yeah, I just was going to ask you a question. You indicated that your church is involved. Is this sponsored internationally by churches, or is it for everyone?
It's for everyone. Anyone who is interested and has a population of moms that they want to work with, they can always apply to MOPS International and find out how to start their program, which is how I started this program. About 4 years ago, a mom came to me saying, I have a new baby, but I need support. I'd love to partner, be with other moms so we could talk about the different challenges. And as a result of her need, because of her interests, I began to do some research and stumbled on MOPS International. When I got that connection, they were able to coach me, get all the aspects of how this program works in the community. I was able to start it at YMOL.
I find this really fascinating, because my niece is giving birth next month, and I was talking to my sister, and we were saying there is excitement, but at the same time, my niece and her husband, they're going to have to change their life. And my sister wants them to live with her for a few months to get started. But and they said, they want their independence, but the question is when this baby starts crying after
Yep.
after a couple hours, they may change their mind. Could you give some tips for a new mom?
Of course.
Yeah, and how would you deal with somebody who basically is stressed out because they're happy,
Yep.
but they really don't want to miss out on bicycling or jogging or
Absolutely.
vacations? We have to take a break. I'm so aggravated that why do we have to have a commercial? Because I'm curious about that.
Okay.
All right, so we'll do this when we come right back.
Sounds good
Awesome.
to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
WVOX. Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and my guest, and Pauline Mosley is the guest, is Deborah Mosley, and she's involved with a group called Mothers of Preschoolers and Moms Next. And before the break, we were talking about some tips that you had.
Yes. In regard to the tips, we do offer suggestions and recommendations to the moms who are part of this program. And it's so interesting and so encouraging to moms when we talk about these issues. What do you do? I just had a baby. What's going on? How do I get my rest? In fact, I just received a couple of comments from some of the moms that are in Moms and Moms Next in regard to how MOPS has impacted them. And some of them said, I found out how to rest, even though I have 3 girls.
How do you rest?
How do you rest? How do you get rest? You do a timeout for yourself. And you begin to ask others to help you with it. You have your friends or whatever, and you do get rest. It's hard in the beginning when you have a newborn baby. That's hard.
So let me ask a question, and this is just a personal question.
Yes.
Because I'm talking on behalf of my sister.
Okay.
So her daughter lives in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And they live in an apartment. She has a house. She's recommending that and my niece is a teacher who has, they'll leave for a couple months after the baby gives birth. Are there advantages for the mother and her husband and baby to move in with my sister for a couple months so they could get more rest, or is that being a bad parent?
No. It's important to get others to help you. And if she has, her mother-in-law, her dad, or somebody, that's a great opportunity to pull the family in to help the mom at that time, because they do need the rest. They need to eat. And if she's nursing her baby, it's wonderful. That's a decision between her and her husband, but get the support that you need. And MOPS and Moms Next is a wonderful opportunity to be part of, because in these sessions, they will hear different issues going on with motherhood, especially when the baby is young. So I know in Brooklyn they probably may have a mops.org. If you go on that website, you'll find the location that is closest to them, and she could join that and get the support and the information that they need.
This is such a wonderful program and organization that's so needed to help support mothers. But could you or Tricia share with us, what does a typical session look like? So if I came and I came to a session, what are some of the benefits or activities or support? Can we break down what support is, and what would that look like for a participant?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for asking that question, because as I keep saying, MOPS and Moms Next is an extremely supportive group, and it's a gathering place where every mom is there, and we provide encouragement, community, and support specifically for new moms. Now, there's one thing: when they come in, they will receive just meeting moms, saying, "Oh, welcome to our group." The coordinators there have prepared different topics to help moms on this journey. So how it looks: they come in, there'll be some light refreshments. There's a time for moms to connect, talk about things that has gone on with their life during the week or so. And then the coordinator will welcome and have a welcome activity based on a particular topic for that day. For example, it may be on friendship. We've seen from the pandemic that moms have suffered with loneliness. Mm-hmm. The statistics are quite high. And with Moms and Moms Next, you'll find that the loneliness will begin to decrease because they are part of a community.
Or they could really share resources. So if somebody wants to take a break and go for dinner, maybe another mom will at times take care of the baby or the preschoolers, or they could have play dates and stuff like that.
Exactly, and that happens in MOPS. In fact, when moms come to the meetings, we do have somebody that takes care of the babies and the children. So this way, it's a time for moms to breathe, to relax, to really listen in terms of what topic is going on. It's a wonderful time. It's a time of bonding. And as you just said, Paul, not only is MOPS meeting in person, but they do have outside meetups where they can go with play groups. They go visiting different places for their children and themselves. So it's a bonding, and they need that. They do have, with each topic, they have an activity, they have discussion questions, and then they have a video on the topic. So they can look at that video, sit back, reflect on it, and be able to leave the meeting with one item, one thing that they want to accomplish as a result of the meetings.
Now, when somebody just gives birth, that should be a happy time. You know, it's a happy time for grandparents, it's a happy time for family members, but for the mother and father, is it also total happiness, or is it more stress?
You know, Paul. It depends on the parents. It can be a stressful time, but on the other time, it's a happy time. So it's like bittersweet. You have this newborn baby, and like I say, if you have support such as MOPS and Moms Next and friends and family, like you're doing, it can make it less stressful on a mom. But it can. But on the other side, it can be very happy. Yeah.
So I'd like to know what the international, with Tricia, if you could explain a little bit about all of these organizations that are in different states or different communities. How do they work together on an international basis? Could you elaborate a little bit on, do they work together, or is there a website that you go to? What is the connection between all of these different subgroups of organizations helping mothers all throughout the world, as you said in your introduction? Could you just elaborate on what supports are given on a international level, or what commonalities do you see between all of these different subgroups?
Sure. So the website is MOPS, MOPS.org, MOPS.org. And you can go to that website and you can take a look of all of the different resources that are available. But I think that the commonality that we're talking about, and I think you were mentioning a little bit, Paul, about when a woman becomes a mom for the first time, there is that joy, but there is also a tremendous amount of responsibility that woman feels, or that family feels.
Right. We have to take another break, and then we'll be right back.
Sure.
And we could start with you continuing your thoughts in 3 minutes.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Tricia.
Sure.
WVOX. Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and this program is really valuable for parents of newborns and preschoolers. Pauline, you had.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Right before the break, we were asking Tricia to explain and elaborate on the commonalities of the subgroup MOP organizations that are throughout various states, towns, and communities. So please go ahead and elaborate on that, Trish.
Sure, thank you. So MOPS International we keep everything together by a theme. Every year we roll out a new theme, and this year the theme is We Go Together. And what the focus is on friendships and developing friendships that are lasting in our lives and throughout, especially this motherhood journey. So with this theme, we wrap teachings around the theme, and from a corporate level, from MOPS International, we start filtering that down through all of the chartered organizations. So if you are a leader or a coordinator of your group, you're going to get this information, which is really like a structure of teachings that can help you as far as resources go, ideas, all kinds of tools to help you in your local group produce the best content for your moms. Then they also have yearly conferences, which we call MomCon. This year it's going to be held in Chicago in September. They're also having an international one in Greece next week. But then that's where thousands of moms gather together and guest speakers come in. There's breakout sessions. There's intensive workshops where you can learn different tools and gather more resources. We also have what's called a cohort community, and that's really what I do right now as a volunteer. And the leaders of all of the groups across the country will meet at different times throughout the month. And when we meet, we'll take one topic. For example, it may be on leadership training. It may be on friendship. It may be on hospitality. And we spend about a half hour, 45 minutes going through that topic. And then the cohort leader with all of the coordinators get together and they discuss that topic. So we really try to keep that continuity together so that all of the groups are on the same page throughout the year. So while there is a structure in place, MOPS also appreciates the flexibility that each group has so that a coordinator knows her population, knows her girls, knows her moms, and so she can be flexible in that as well.
Yeah, I had a question that I just thought of. It's very expensive. Let's say you're a mother who works, your husband works, you don't have family, so you hire a nanny. And what are or an au pair? What advice would you give? How do you know you're getting the right person, and what should somebody look for?
That's interesting. Trish, you want to answer that question?
Sure. Well, there's a website out there or a group out there called care.com. And I know people that have really looked for and have found nannies on there. So it's care.com. You can go on there. These people that are on there have been background checked from what I understand. So that's a good starting place, You have to, that is really a personal issue between, I think, the husband and wife or the family involved.
And the other question that I have a whole bunch of questions. Okay. I should have asked my sister to write down a list before, but I forgot. What about dealing with discipline? When is it important to start as a parent saying no to a parent? That's a good question.
Yes, very good question.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do have, as Tricia was just explaining, in MOPS, we do have different topics that we'll have a discussion about that. We'll see videos the right way. We have videos that are provided by doctors who are experienced and knowledgeable in those areas, and have a discussion, and moms will talk about the issues that they're having in regard to disciplining children. In fact, there was one topic I know that one of the coordinators just did, and it was, a guide to your kids' wiring. A guide to your kids' wiring. So you get to understand and know how your kid is wired, so that you'll know how to discipline in love, right? Understanding and wisdom. But that just triggered one of my answer to your question.
And you have another question?
Yes, this is such a wonderful, important organization for mothers to really encourage, not like you said, encourage them, but also give them the confidence, because many times women are in a situation of should they stay home with their kid or should they go to work, or sometimes it's stereotypical to say, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. But what you are doing is really eradicating that stereotype by saying being a mom is such a value of a job, like you're having conferences, you're celebrating it. It's such hard work that goes unpaid, but it is of great value, such great value. And all women in this month of Women's Month, all women need to be celebrated regardless of what decision they make, whether they stay home to care for a child or whether they go to work. So I just want to know, how do you deal with those issues if someone says, I'm considering going back to work, but I'm sitting on the fence, I'm torn, I really want to stay home with my child. What advice would you give, or how would you handle something like that?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I always say that you have to be in agreement. If you're married, you have to be in agreement with your husband on the issue, because otherwise there's going to just be friction and conflict within the family. I personally was a working mom, and I felt like I did not have time for friendship. I didn't have time for fun. And I am very passionate about MOPS because at one point I hit the wall and I started experiencing symptoms of anxiety and depression. And it really was because I did not take the time to care for myself like I should have. And so regardless of whether a mom wants to stay home with their children, that's applauded and celebrated at MOPS. If a mom chooses to work outside of the home, that's applauded and celebrated. These are decisions, again, that should be based in the home and in the family. But you have to care. Moms, I really feel strongly that moms have to take care of themselves. It is a hard job. We are tasked with raising the next generation of America, and so we have to take care of ourselves so that we can give the best to our children.
I agree. Thanks for that comment, Trish, because I'm totally passionate about that also. And that's what MOPS is all about, for moms to become better versions of themselves, for their families, and for their communities. Once we focus on the moms, they can be better moms for their children, and it just supports them. So regardless if they're working or not working, we encourage them to take rest for themselves, and we find the answers in this organization.
Does your organization encourage moms and their spouses to take CPR? And also, when you're hiring a babysitter or a nanny, should they be taking CPR? Is that a problem?
I have not come across that, but I would strongly encourage them to take CPR. Yeah, I mean, we don't do that in MOPS, but I would encourage any parent to take CPR.
Yeah, and I could talk from firsthand experiences because when my daughter, this was many years ago, I remember she was climbing a cabinet and then sat down and then fell and then broke her hand. This was over 20 years ago because we weren't paying as much attention as we should have.
Oh my!
And you have to be careful with kids.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't realize that they're not that they may not be as careful as they should be.
Exactly. Need eyes all around your head to watch. You have to watch them. Yeah.
What about also safety in playgrounds? Because I noticed, again, when my daughter was growing up, a lot of parents, they would be reading while their kids are on the playground, and they're not really paying attention, or the nannies or caregivers are not paying attention. Is that an issue that comes up ever?
Well, it has not come up in my group, but an observation, because I love to walk, going to parks, with my grandchildren and so forth. I do see that, and it is very, very important that you keep an eye on your child, especially in these days.
And also, if you feel that there's a playground and there's not enough security, or you have suggestions how to make it safer, you should contact either the school or the municipality, because we've had situations around the country where there's been kidnappings.
That's right, exactly.
I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor. I don't want to stress everybody out with making people even more scared, but people have to be careful.
Yes, they do. I totally agree.
And the more experience you have in these, the more you see what some of the pitfalls are. So we're going to have to take one more break, and then we'll be back with Deborah Mosley, mother of preschool kids.
And Tricia.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I've been hogging a lot of the program, so I'm going to ask Pauline if you could ask the next question.
Sure, no worries. But this has been such a fantastic show and organically flowing, and we're just so happy to be back in the studio with Miss Deb and Miss Tricia from the MOPS and MOPS Next organization. So can either of you share with us the mentoring? I understand your program, MOPS and MOPS Next, has some sort of mentoring aspect to it.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that, please?
Of course. Like Tricia's been saying, we are all volunteers. And in MOPS and MOPS Next, we do have those women who are older, who have walked before with children, their nephews and nieces, and they are at all the meetings. They can identify moms who want further help, and they reach out to them and have one-on-one relationships in addition to the meetings that we have, in addition to all the other benefits that are provided to the moms. So mentorship is so important. It's so important to help walk alongside each mom. So it's a beautiful journey that I see with them.
I had another question. This is like a personal question because, as I mentioned, my niece is giving birth next month, and when the baby's born, if I want, I'm sure that I'm going to think she's like the cutest thing, and when she's a little older, she may come to me and beg me for a cookie or an ice cream, and I know her mom may not appreciate it. How do I deal with it? Do I, if she breaks my heart and is begging me, but I know that I'm sneaking it, is that being a bad uncle?
Paul,
great uncle.
Yeah, great. I know your heart, but you know what? If the parents have some stipulation, do not give them this cookie, or do not ask the parents first. Say, listen, I really want to do this. Can I do this? Otherwise,
And how do I tell her?
Tell the baby.
Do I tell the baby that? I would have done it, but
you hold them in the arms and listen. Let's go to mom and dad. I want to give this cookie or whatever.
So I don't snitch on them. I don't say, oh, your mother and father won't do it, but I would.
No, don't go there. Don't go there.
Okay, this is a good lesson. So thank you.
Okay.
All right. So in our closing minutes we have, could you share one tip with our listening audience for caregivers? I know this is particularly for mothers, but sometimes life has it that dad has to be the caregiver. So for caregivers, what's one tip that you could leave our listening audience with?
Sure. I think the one tip is to know that you're not alone. That sometimes I think we feel like this is just happening to me or nobody else understands, and you're not alone in this. And to really reach out if you are struggling, if you do feel overwhelmed, to reach out to a community. This time, this season of life, especially when the children are young, can be a very stressful time. And that is, I think, the one piece of advice that I would give is to don't do it alone. Reach out for help.
Do parents sometimes get jealous of other parents? So, for example, let's say you're a mom and your child is potty trained way ahead. Do you give advice? Do you show off to other moms, say, "Oh, look at my baby, this is so smart"? Or if they're walking or crawling earlier, do you sort of brag, or are you better off? How does somebody who's successful and has like a perfect baby interact with somebody who's stressed out because their child isn't potty trained and they're already in high school? No, I'm not.
No.
That's a joke.
One thing that I do personally, I always tell moms, don't compare.
Don't compare.
Each baby is different. We're different from each other. Don't compare. That leaves the pressure off the moms and the parents by looking at that kid and saying, "Oh, wow, why isn't my kid doing?" And starting to say, like, push the kid.
Are there like subgroups in your organization for parents who possibly have children who are developing a little later?
Oh, yes, there are. We do have that. In fact, Trish, I think we have special needs. There's moms with special needs, right?
Right.
I had a question. What if there's a grandmother? Like, what if there's some children who don't have, for whatever reason, grandmother is raising them? Can grandmothers come to and participate of this Okay.
Of course.
I just want to be clear with the listening audience that it's not just restricted to mothers, but it's the grandmother could come.
If there's a caregiver that is raising a child, baby, preschool, in school, they are welcome to become a member of MOPS and Moms Next. And I really want to give this information because those mothers that are listening to reach out to our website,
please,
which is https://www.youthmissionoflife.org/page/MOPS. And we have an Instagram handle, and that's MOPS at YMOL.
That is so interesting. When somebody's looking for a child, for like a daycare center or early childhood program, any advice or tips you'd have about that?
Personally, I would go to the place that you're looking at, several places, compare them, read up about them. What are people saying about them? It's like you go to any place, you're going to rate them or whatever. Be very, very careful where you're going to place your child. Know about it. Even prior to putting them into a daycare or preschool, go there, observe.
See the curriculum.
See what's going on.
Even
that's my personal.
Even see
advice.
The meals that are being given.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
the cleanliness, and and even talk to the staff. One of the things that I am critical of is that a lot of childcare workers get paid so little, and they're really so important. And is that an issue of your organization?
Maybe Tricia, you might want to answer that. Yeah. No, we're not really on the child care. For us, for MOPS, if you're in a MOPS group, we do offer child care for that period of time. So for that, hour and a half that the moms are meeting. So if you're talking specifically for that, the host site would do the checking for the volunteers. And again, the moms always have something to say about the workers who are watching their children. In the community at large, no, MOPS doesn't really get too much into that venue. That's more of I would think, a personal or private decision.
Could you tell us in the remaining minute how people could get more information about your organization?
Of course. Mm-hmm. I just gave them the website and the Instagram handle, and they also could go to mops.org/ I believe it's members, right, Trish?
Yeah, if you just wanted to go to MOPS.org, that would just take you to the homepage, and then you can, any mom can be a member of MOPS without attending any meetings. They can just get the resources. They can go to online groups. They can just kind of check it out, until they feel ready to join a group in person. But if you go to MOPS.org, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Yeah, and the online groups are good. We had to do that during pandemic. We were meeting in person, and then all of a sudden, boom, we had to do Zoom. So there are a lot of online meetings throughout the United States. So yeah,
it's really great, and it's also good for new parents to basically make friends of people who have similar concerns and needs. I guess when you're a mother, a new mother, your social friendships are going to be different than when you were just married or single.
Yes, exactly. And that's what we find in MOPS. When you have a newborn and there's other moms right there with little newborn babies, I mean, there's a bonding. You can really feel more comfortable in the journey because you have others walking alongside you.
That is great.
So we want to thank you both for being here today. This has been great, and please tune in with us next week where we'll have Mr. David Birnbaum, an attorney at Fisher, Porcher & Thompson, who is a presidential leadership scholar, and also next week is St. Patrick's Day, so we hope you tune back for our next featured guest. And again, we thank Miss Deborah and Miss Tricia for being here on the show.
And I want to mention that WVOX on St. Patrick's Day has an event, and it's at the Mirage Restaurant from 12 to 5 next Friday, and the only requirement is you have to wear green.
Okay.
I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
And I'm Pauline Mosley. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.